This video is about flashing the operating system for your vampire from a Mac. So I'm calling this flashing a compact flash card on your Mac the hard way. What you're going to need is the disk image that you're going to flash to the card, the flash card itself, a USB flash card reader or writer, because the Mac doesn't have a flash card slot. So what you're going to do is use the Mac to build a copy of the operating system onto the flash card. Now you need to be extremely careful when you select the correct device when you're doing these steps. My advice is, if you have any doubts, just stop. Do not proceed without clearly understanding what you're doing. So when you're doing this, do not be in a hurry, do not be in a rush. Be careful and calm, and you should be fine. Now, you can use friendly applications like Balena Etcher, and if you're unsure about the terminal and unhappy there, you can use those, but you can still use them to destroy your system. Those friendly apps can still delete your data. Perhaps you'll feel happier, while you're doing that. So you do not need any of those image copying apps, because these functions are built into Unix and the Mac. So some of these commands are Mac commands, and the main one is a Unix command. So you're going to open the terminal, and this step you should do before you insert the flash disk. You should use the disk-util-list command. Then carefully look at the output from that command, and these are all the disks that you definitely do not want to destroy. So the list will contain lots of details. The names of the devices are going to be things like /dev/disk-x, so disk 1, disk 2, and so on. And that's a list of the drives, or at least the list of the drive devices that are connected to your system. So once you've got that list and you've read it and understood that those are the things you don't want to write the image onto, next connect your flash card. Now, the Mac may offer to initialize the card because it may be unformatted, or it may already be formatted. You can select ignore, or you could even go through the process of formatting the card, but you will be undoing all of that in a minute. So again, use this command disk-util-list. Having inserted the flash card, there's going to be a new device now. It's going to probably be at the end of the list. It seems to be for me. Its name's going to vary. It's not always going to be the same, and depending on what you've plugged into your Mac, it's not going to be the same next time you do this. So you could do this once and it could be dev disk 10. The next time it might be dev disk 9 or 11, depending on whether you've got other devices connected to your Mac. So you do need to do this each time. Do not assume this will stay the same. So I did disk-util on my Mac, and I got the disk 10. Now the interesting thing here is, to identify it, the best thing to do is look at the size. So I'm using a 128 gig card I got from the Apollo store, and it shows up on my Mac as 125.1 gig. Now it's not quite right, but it's nothing like the size of the other disks that I have on the system. I've got a boot disk that's about 500 gig, and I've got some storage disks. None of them are 125 gig in size. So this really helps you to identify that this is the right device, and there it is. It's disk 10. So it's going to be /dev/disk 10. That in this case I'm going to be using. On your Mac it will be a different device, so make a note of what the device name is. So once you're happy you've got the right device, and based on the size of the device and the fact that it appeared after you inserted the card, you can proceed to flash it. So in order to flash the device, you need to unmount it. If it's become mounted, perhaps when it was inserted, you can unmount it with this command, disk-util unmount disk /dev/disk-nnn. So on mine I did disk-util space unmount disk /dev/disk 10. So you've got the device now that you need to be writing to. You're very clear about it. You now have to find your disk image, which you probably are creating, using an emulator to set up yourself, or you may have got a copy from a friend, or downloaded it from somewhere. And then you need to CD to the right folder on your Mac, and then list it so you can see what its name is. Just verify that, because you're going to need that in the next command. So this next command is the dangerous command. So using the wrong device name here will make your computer unbootable and potentially destroy data. So you need to be mindful, understand what you're doing, choose the correct device name. So here's the command sudo dd. Now if we look through this, let's understand this command. dd is from Unix and it stands for copy and convert. CC was already used, I think, for the C compiler, so they used dd. It's kind of obvious, I guess. Then use the next name that they could find in the alphabetical order. I think they have a good sense of humor, but perhaps they were just being utilitarian. Okay, so the command, what does it mean? It means become the admin. So this command is going to ask you for your password so that you are now in charge of your computer, and then copy the input file to the output file. So in this case, the output file is the physical disk device. The image file, which is the input file, is the image you're writing. And the command is a clone command, really. It's making a duplicate of the image to the disk. So it's used to clone disks from a disk image. This is really the command that all those friendly disk copying software apps are using behind the scenes. And they also will ask you to enter your password. So it's kind of a big clue they're using the same command. And then while this command is running, if you've got a USB writer with a light, then the light's going to start flashing. But nothing else will happen on the terminal screen. And this is going to take a while to run. So if you're impatient, you can use Control-T, and that will spit out a progress update. It will say how many seconds it's been running for and how many bytes it's copied. Pretty dull, really, so I think the best thing to do is do something else, have a cup of tea, go and do some other task, and come back later. So once it's finished, the terminal is just going to return to the command prompt, and I think it will just display the final sort of status of how many bytes were transferred over how many seconds. I hope you found that helpful or useful. If you have any comments, please provide a comment, and if you would like to see more useful hints and tips for working with the vampire, then please subscribe.